Hi, I'm Jennifer O'Neill. I'm a member of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde in Oregon, and I currently serve as the University Historian and Archivist, as well as an instructor in Native Studies at the University of Oregon. And what I wanted to share with you is an update and some background about the protocols for Native American archival materials, as well as to acknowledge and honor many of the people who were involved with the drafting, the development, and implementation, particularly over the past 12 years. So I'm just going to provide a little bit of background first about the protocols, why they were drafted, and then honor many of the individuals, and then give you an update about where things are at now. Drafted in 2006 by a group of 19 Native American and non-Native archivists, librarians, museum curators, historians, and anthropologists who gathered at Northern Arizona University at Flagstaff, Arizona. This was under the direction of Karen Underhill, and participants included representatives from 15 Native American, First Nation, and Aboriginal communities. The group met to identify best professional practices for culturally responsive care and use of American Indian archival material held by non-tribal organizations, especially those that fall outside of any federal regulations or protection. As many of us know who work with these collections or who are from tribal communities, many of our collections fall outside of our own geographic areas, or they've been placed in areas that are far from our home communities, as well as may have been placed in those communities without our knowledge. So the goal was to reconnect those collections with their communities, as well as to provide opportunities for connection with those collections and for tribal members to have a chance to actually provide their traditional knowledge and expertise, whether it be for records, photographs, audio recordings, materials that they may never have had a chance before to even see, or to provide very important information about. So this is especially also recognizing the sovereignty of Native American communities, the complex nature of how these archives have become displaced from their communities, and the fact that repositories are not often neutral sites to tribal communities. So the protocols outline different key areas where repositories can work with tribal communities to actually bridge those divides and to work together to develop curatorial collaborations. Another area that the protocols worked on was to again, have ongoing national discussion around different approaches to the management, preservation, and transmission of these collections, specifically regarding Native American knowledge and information resources. These protocols urge archivists and librarians to consider Native American perspectives on professional policies and practice within their areas. It's so important for these communities to reestablish these connections through the protocols, and it honors our connection to place, our sovereignty, and that we have always had since time immemorial. So what we really like to highlight with the protocols is the knowledge contained in these collections that are at non-tribal repositories sustains and can save our languages, our lifeways, and our cultural heritage. So is extremely important to honor the people who helped to draft these protocols. And in their drafting, they not only helped to draft the protocols, but they also then began to take these protocols out to many different, both local, regional, and national organizations. So it was extremely important that we got feedback and that we also took the time to have many discussions about the complexities of the protocols and begin to have those difficult discussions. So the original drafters are Catherine Jody Bailu, Brianna Bob, Cherie Bonaparte, Steve Crum, Amelia Flores, Alana Garwood Huang, David George Shongo, Eunice Khan, Stuart Kayumtua, Kim Lawson, Robert Leopold, Gloria Lafumtawa, James Nason, Latsi Patterson, Richard Pierce Moses, Alice Sadonge, Karen Underhill, and myself. So each of these individuals had a unique opportunity to draft the protocols as well as to take them out to many, again, local, regional, and national organizations. I also wish to acknowledge the Society of American Archivists, particularly the Native American Archives Roundtable that was created in 2005, and especially David George Shango, who was instrumental in bringing that initiative to SAA. And it was also through this group that we first approached SAA about considering the protocols. And then in 2008 is when we actually approached SAA about endorsing the protocols for the first time. However, rather than endorsing the protocols, SAA rather created a working group, which was called the Native American Archives Protocols Forum Working Group. And there were many individuals who chaired that group and who worked to have discussions around that topic for 3 years. And it was after that time that SAA then put the full report on their website, which can be accessed there. And then there are also other resources that we've posted through the Roundtable site. So it was through all the participants and discussions that we continued to have lots of great feedback. Unfortunately, SAA did not endorse the protocols at that time, but we wish to also acknowledge ATALM, which began to be a central site for support for the protocols, and especially when larger national organizations refused to endorse the protocols. So we, of course, thank many of the advisory council members, Susan Feller, and countless others who always supported our efforts and provided space to us to have meetings. For example, in 2015, ATALM provided a space to have an archive summit. And in that meeting, we again addressed the protocols and invited colleagues from Canada who were also addressing the same issue within their region to learn from each other. And from that, we came out with other next steps, such as developing case studies and appendices to the protocols, which was always seen as a document that would be a work in progress. And we also wanted to add an implementation guide. So those are all forthcoming. But then on August 13th of this year, after 12 years, SAA Council once again began to have discussions around the protocols and put it back on their agenda. And we, of course, are happy to announce that it was endorsed by the Society of American Archivists, especially the council members. We wish to thank them. We also wish to acknowledge and thank them for the apology that was also included, to acknowledge how long it took to actually get to this point. But we're very excited to then begin this next phase of what the work with the protocols looks like. We have all been engaged in this work for many years and engaged in implementing the protocols even before they were endorsed by SAA, but having it endorsed now by this larger organization really shows the importance and provides guidance to SAA membership. We also wish to bring honor to many of the previous leaders of the Native American Archives Roundtable and section, and that includes the current leader, Stephen Curley, and past leaders, including Ricky Punzelin, Jonathan Pringle, Michael Pond, Gina Rappaport, and two specific individuals who've actually already walked on, who are Ann Massman and Ali Krebs, who were also very instrumental in discussion of the protocols and leadership. And without their work, we wouldn't be where we are today. And so at this point, the work goes on with the case studies. If individuals are interested in providing case studies about either how you've implemented the protocols or how you've had a successful story or one that you have great lessons learned from and that you want to share with other people from your repository, the Native American Archives section in SAA is gathering those case studies, and you can find out more information from their website. And another great thing that's happening is development of an implementation guide, and that's going to be done both through ATALM and SAA because we're trying to bring a lot of collaborative work together between these organizations, so that's very exciting. We also look forward to working with, again, more local, regional organizations as they can establish more formal partnerships and relationships between ATALM and SAA that addresses the protocols. And internationally, we are now engaged with a collective that got reestablished this past year out of Australia led by Shannon Falkhead and Kirsten Thorpe, first started in 2011, called the Indigenous Archive Collective. And that is at indigenousarchives.net. And it's a group of researchers, practitioners, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, who've come together to revitalize this work, specifically to reframe it and have discussions around Indigenous archives, both Australia, New Zealand, the United States, Canada, all Indigenous archives in the Western Hemisphere, so that we can have shared understanding and share our stories around Indigenous archives. And it aims to showcase and connect information on innovative projects that are working with Indigenous knowledge sources. So that's another exciting initiative coming out of the work, again, that the protocols will be mentioned and discussed. So we're excited and looking forward to this next phase of activism, and now that the protocols have been endorsed by SAA, and the work continues for many of us, and our work goes on, and we hope that many of you will join us in developing case studies, helping with the implementation guide, or just sharing your story with us. So in the words of my people from the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, the traditional language that we speak is Chinikwawa, and so I say Hayumasi, which means thank you.